A while ago, I actually switched to Mac. I bought a MacBook. And honestly, maybe you should too. Windows is just not in a good state, and today I'm going to go over all of the stuff that I just love about this MacBook. Every day that passes, I go, wow, this is a very good experience compared to what I used to have. And what I used to have is an Asus G14 2024 model that had the 4060 and 16 gigs of RAM with a Ryzen 9 processor. Now on the surface, that's like the perfect competitor to this base M4 MacBook Pro. This is the 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU with the single fan cooling. But in reality, for my use, this thing has been way better and way more competent and enjoyable to use day to day. So let's just go over the build quality. Now, not gonna say that the build quality on the G14 was bad. A lot of people would actually consider it to be quite close to the MacBook. However, there's just a couple little things that make this stand out a little bit more. All the fit and finish is just slightly better on the MacBook here, and stuff like the hinge especially is just that little bit more tuned in. Like there's just the tiniest bit of screen wobble, and it's the perfect balance between stiff and, you know, not having the screen like really go whoa every time you touch it, which the G14 was, and honestly a lot of laptops are like that. Or stuff like, you know, you have your trackpad here, that's the Force Touch trackpad. But all in all, the MacBook is just slightly better in build quality. The next thing is this screen. Now, if you know the G14, specifically the 2024 model, you may be slightly confused and go, what? Isn't the screen really nice on the G14 as well? That is true. However, I had some issues, and for my specific case, this mini LED Pro XDR, whatever the hell they call it, display is a lot nicer. This screen is an overall better experience for me because it's actually, I think it's over double or about double the brightness of the G14's OLED display. And on top of that, I don't have to worry about burn-in. Not that I particularly was worried about burn-in on my G14, but now it's not something that I have to even give a single thought to because this is just it's an IPS display. HDR content looks great because of all the dimming zones. I think it's got some crazy amount of dimming zones, like over 1,000 or something like that. It's very, very good. And also the refresh rate. Now you may be saying, okay, well, the refresh rate on the G14 was also 120 Hertz, but that is going to lead me perfectly into this next segment, which is battery life. And what I mean by this is on my Asus G14, under no circumstances could I keep the G14 on 120 Hertz all day and just use it like that. That was not a realistic expectation of that laptop, because what was going to happen is if I take it to work, by the end of the day, it was going to be dead. If I had it at 120 Hertz, that's just how it works. This thing, because the battery life is so good, I can just keep it on 120 Hertz the whole time and it's no problem at all. I mean, look at this. I used this the whole day yesterday at work and we are at 28%. Like, that is pretty good. 28% on my old laptop, absolutely unheard of. And it goes further than that when talking about the battery, because also a huge benefit that has completely changed the way that I use my laptop is not only, of course, this gets much better battery life, but the things that it's able to do on battery. If I want to go edit photos, I can do that. If I want to go edit this video right now at work on DaVinci Resolve, I can do that. My old laptop, the G14, had a problem where if you didn't have a charger that was supplying enough power to it 100% of the time, so let's say for example a 45 watt charger, and then you, even for a second, went above 45 watts, it would basically send the laptop into limp mode, is what I would call it, where basically everything would come to a crawl. You'd click on something, it would take like 5 seconds to open. If you unplugged it and plugged it back in, it would reset it, basically reset, and it would work fine again. This has none of that stupidity going on. Trust me, I tried troubleshooting that issue. It was just a thing with the G14. It just happens. Unlike the G14, this laptop, like your phone or basically any other device that's battery powered, as far as I can tell, if you have it plugged in and you want to use a lower wattage charger, or that's all you have, and you want to do something intensive, it will just use the battery and the amount of power that's getting from the wall to just slowly discharge the battery instead of sending into that limp mode. But in the first place, I don't even really need to have it plugged into the wall. I can edit photos all day and, you know, come to work with the laptop at like, I don't know, let's say 80-85%, and I can edit photos all day and be completely fine. That is, I could never do that on, I mean, on most Windows laptop, if we're being honest, but particularly that G14, because that's just what the experience that I had, it was not going to go down well. So the battery is absolutely a game changer. But the next thing we need to talk about, which is it's the basis of the entire experience of using the laptop, and that is the little chip that sits right here, the M4 processor. So the M4, and really all of Apple Silicon, is a very interesting thing to compare versus a Windows laptop. Because if you have a laptop that's more efficient, it not only means it's going to be cooler to the touch, get better battery life, but it's just overall, it's going to perform better, it's going to throttle less, all of that good stuff. And I cannot stress that this chip in here, while of course it's not nearly as powerful as that 4060 that I had in the G14, it's just never gonna be. For me, it's not a big deal anymore because I don't really play that many games. And that's, I'll go into that later, but really, if you don't play games, you should really at least try one of these out. For instance, when you know, everyone's been here, you're doing something, you're editing a video, you're gaming, you're whatever. The laptop is just on your lap and you have it plugged in and you're doing an intensive task. On basically any Windows laptop that at least I've ever had, I guess let me know if you've had a different experience, but if you have it plugged in while doing any sort of moderate task, the G14 would heat up so much, and then you got hot air on your lap and it's just uncomfortable to hold. Not a great experience. That is something, I don't know if it's just me that I really get, it's a pet peeve of mine or what, but I hate that. This thing, I swear to God, for the first week, I did not even hear the fan run. Didn't even hear it. The thermal management of this device is truly top notch. It doesn't matter what you're doing, unless it's the most high performance task, it's just not gonna heat up. You got your vents here, your intakes, and then it's got one out this side, because this is the one fan model. But even with that, it's still always under control at all times with the thermals, which is such a huge advantage for me. It's so nice. And I'm not even gonna get into all the other little issues that I had with the G14 that inevitably made me sell it, or maybe I will a little bit here. This thing actually can connect to the internet and stay connected. The G14 could not, for whatever reason. That was actually the straw that broke the camel's back on that old laptop and why I sold it. Because this thing can actually I open it and it stays connected to the internet, which I know, just crazy novel concept, marvel of technology, truly. Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. Try this, just try it. Listen, Windows is getting worse. These Macs are so competent at doing all of the basics, all of the fundamentals of a laptop. They do it so well. From screen to battery life, you know, the keyboard's fine, the speakers are great, the performance is pretty good as well. It just does everything that you would want a laptop to do really, really well. If you do not need to play a ton of games, if you go through your list of software that you want to run or need to run, and you look into it and it runs it all fine, this is going to be a huge game changer. It was for me. It's I'm so happy with this thing. I cannot understate that. And this is someone who is like, I've had one iPhone in my life. That's it. I've been notoriously anti-Apple because I've never been a fan. This will probably not be my last Mac. It's the first and will probably not be the last. Just take advantage of the 30-day Amazon return policy, the 15-day Best Buy return policy, and just try it. Next time you're looking for a laptop, just try one of these. It doesn't have to be a Pro. Most people don't need a Pro. I just thought it was worth the extra couple $100. And speaking of price, Apple's been discounting these pretty significantly. I mean, I got this for $1,300, and I mean, that's a pretty competitive, good price. I've seen the M4 Air on sale for $800, or it might have been even $750, which I don't remember if it's $750 or $800, but at $800 for an M4 Air, I mean, I don't think you can beat that. I don't think any laptop manufacturer, because it's just such a complete package like I was talking about before, it just does the fundamentals so well that I don't think there's anything that could possibly even begin to try and touch that base M4 Air price. And now that these all come with 16 gigs of RAM, and yeah, I mean, it's a very compelling argument. That is the argument that I'm trying to make. I would go out and try one of these. Very good, very happy, very good, satisfactory product.